The attack on the security forces in Sukma district in Chhattisgarh was meticulously planned. Sources have told Headlines today that the entire area of the ambush was filled with landmines and IEDs. But with specific warning about the presence of maoists in this area, the question is, how exactly did the Naxals manage to lay these mines in the area that was so close to the national highway?
Even as probe into the Naxal ambush in Chhattisgarh's Sukma district continues, shocking facts have emerged that go on to suggest that the attack was carefully and meticulously planned. Sources have told Headlines today that the Maoists not just managed to score over the security forces, but they had heavily mined the entire area. Headlines today has learned that the IEDs were planted well in advance by the Naxals. This punches holes into the security agency's claims that the warnings were issued about the presence of two large armed groups of Maoists in the area. Because if there indeed was a warning, how did the Red terrorists manage to lay mines in the area along the national highway? Why was the presence of IEDs detected only after the deadly attack that claimed 16 lives? With Jugal Purohit in Sukma, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
And Jugal Purohit is now joining us from Ground Zero. Jugal, how exactly is the administration security forces explaining this glaring lapse, this area which the security forces had taken? Now it turns out it was heavily mined by the Maoists.
Absolutely, Ruchika. In fact, what we understand is that while all along the narrative on the side of the intelligence agencies, the Ministry of Home Affairs has always been that there was prior intelligence and perhaps those on the ground did not read it well enough. But the fact is that now with these 4 IEDs, actually cropping up in the same killing zone where we saw these 16 men being martyred, it only goes to show two things. Firstly, is that this area was chosen, was rehearsed at, was practiced, and laying of mines is a long process. It does not just happen in a minute or two. They have done that. I spoke to some top officers. They told me that the Maoists had laid those mines well in advance. Now the question really is that if the intelligence agencies were indeed aware, why were they not able to detect it? And this area is right abutting the national highway, and yet there's no precise warning. There's no specific input that this is an area where this has been happening for days and on end. And it's not just enough to say that, we had warning and we had warned. The fact is, people on the ground are telling me that they need specific warnings. These are huge areas without any features, jungle, terrains, and just giving mere area and very area generic warnings do not help. They need specific inputs. And this is a glaring lapse because it shows that the Maoists had chosen a certain location, practiced it, and yet there was no specific input available with regards to this place, which, as I just said, lies right next to the national highway.
Jugal, thanks very much for joining us. Remember, Headlines today is Jugal Purohit is reporting from Ground Zero on the encounter that many believe could have been avoided, an encounter that claimed 16 lives. Here's a special report that deconstructs Tuesday's deadly Maoist ambush.